I hope you didn't wake up mad. Hope you didn't go to bed angry. But there's a lot of anger out there. Seems like it anyway. And it doesn't seem like there are people just on the edge all the time. I have Irish and French blood in me, both very passionate cultures. Anger serves a purpose. All right, it's in us for a reason. Problem comes when it's misplaced anger. So it begs the question, is there good? Is there bad? Well, I know a guy who knows all this stuff. His name is Dr. John Braccio, Regional Psychological Service. Been doing this for a lot of years, East Lansing. drjohnb.com on the web, and he joins us now to talk about this stuff. I'm not mad at you, Doc. I'm not. Good morning.
Listen, good morning to you, Mike. And, anger, and we've talked about, different aspects of anger over time. But anger is always an interesting topic because it's something we all experience, and we too often hear about the negative outcomes when people become angry and cause great harm to themselves and others. A good way to look at anger is that it is a human emotion that can be good or bad. It really depends on the circumstances. It's not like being evil or good. They both stand for something very consistent in all circumstances. Anger can be really as good as a refreshing, spring shower, or bad as a raging typhoon that can be catastrophic. Anger is that kind of an emotion. Mike, anger is a human emotion that obviously has allowed humans to survive thousands of years by being able to defend themselves when they're treated unfairly, need to set up particular boundaries, or even need to defend themselves when being physically or emotionally attacked. Anger can also be highly destructive when a person with uncontrolled anger destroys friendships, physical things, and can even assault and really even murder a person when taken to an extreme level. This means that anger, when controlled and used to defend themselves, emotionally or physically, it's a positive, a good human emotion. On the other hand, anger is most inappropriate or bad when it fills the person with rage and does not allow them to effectively interact with people or situations they feel they can't control. Unfortunately, as we know in life, Mike, the line for control for some people is hard to follow. They take even legitimate anger, when you have a reason to be angry, and turn it into a type of rage. It's destructive to them, can be to those around them also. What we really seek is the golden mean of Aristotle, where we try to meet a reasonable middle ground on what would be appropriate anger, good anger. The benefits of good anger relate to people being able to defend themselves, develop positive relationships with other persons, and also achieve their goals in life. Bad anger, inappropriate anger, does just the reverse. It leads to people destroying relationships in their future by not being able to contain anger in their families, with their families and their work, social interactions, and their overall life. It also can impact them emotionally with increased symptoms of anxiety and depression, and physically can lead to increased high blood pressure, cardiovascular problems with the immune system that can lead to susceptibility to colds and potential problems with ulcers. The positive results of good anger versus the negative aspects or results of bad anger are so extreme that if one has problems with bad anger, it's clearly time to decide to break the cycle and learn to use good anger to more effectively advance in life. Because, anger, it's one of those things that can be so destructive. And I think we all know people that have caused great damage to their relationships, to friendships, to their own self physically by just having this anger they really can't control. It's really a horrible thing to have if you can't control it. It's useful and necessary in a life where people can treat you unfairly and you need to defend yourself and set boundaries.
Yeah. It's there for a reason. It seems in a lot of ways these days, Doc, we and maybe it's just me because I live in these times, right? We all think our own times are unique and everything, but anger is just rampant. Doesn't it seem like it? And there's a difference between anger and rage, and I get what your point is here. How in the heck do you Well, it's hard when you're emotional to know the difference. It's not like you're going to sit down and go like, "Whoa, this is my good anger. I need to channel this." How is one supposed to, work on that?
I think if we start finding we're having bad relationships with people, we're having problems at work, we're having problems just anywhere. Like if we can even find that if we go to a grocery store and someone says, "Boy, it's a good day," and you say it's not either, like you're ready to argue. Then I think you really have to realize that you've got a real passion out of control. You've got a human characteristic. Anger is really not doing well. And I think if you really do find that you're getting angry too much, you do have to really take a time out. You've got to take a look at yourself, and you've got to say, really what's going on. Because you may have some legitimate anger, but what happens is when people then carry it over and they just start taking it out on other people, or just start just physically impacting them to the point they can't sleep, they're getting cold, they're finding that life is just not good. You really have to take a look. Anybody can turn on the news and get mad, okay? I mean, you can turn on the news, and the longer you listen, the madder you can get, okay? And so I think you've got to control a lot of things, control what you're listening to, control who you're talking to, just trying to really get that sum and bonum, trying to get the good life, trying to get the golden mean, if you will, and just keep things in pace, and try to realize there are things you can't change. Part of what makes a lot of people angry is they're mad about things they can't change. They can be mad about the weather. They can be mad about politicians. They can be mad about a lot of things that at least at the moment they can't change. So I think what you have to do, you just have to try to listen to music, with a song in my heart, look for the golden, look for the silver lining, look for things that can make you happy and satisfied, because ultimately being angry or not angry is a choice. And being in an environment or a situation that makes you angry or seems to cause anger in you is a place to stay away from. So people do really have choices in life, and a lot of people behave like they don't have choices. And so I always indicate, just slow down, because I'll talk to people and they'll be so mad. I mean, they'll be so angry at someone or a circumstance or whatever it might be. And I try to advise them, hey, just take a time out, take a look at this, figure out what you can do. And you want to have a peaceful life. You want a good life. You really don't want to lead a life where you're mad and you're really impacting yourself. And even potentially risking taking years off your life if you start destroying yourself physically with this rage and anger. Very, very bad thing if it's not controlled.
In your years of working with folks, do you find that, one, I think we can get certain folks can get comfortable being mad. That's their place, that they know how to function, and that's unfortunate. But is it generally this, that if you know this better than me because this is what you do, but in talking to people and you peel back the layers, does it always come down to there's one instance, one thing, one circumstance that's at the base of all this other anger? They just don't know how to deal with that, and then you got to get them to deal with that, and then everything else is easier?
Well, it depends on the person. Some people are angry about a lot of things. I mean, they get mad about everything. Okay, there are people that are negative. Now, if it's as simple, and this is good, if you can find a person that has one core anger, let's say they really are unhappy with their job, okay, and it carries over. They start being even mad at the dog. The dog is there to say hello, and they're saying, "Get away from me, you're a bad dog today," okay? And they're fighting with people. If it's one thing, then if that's the case, I will talk to someone, or people will work with themselves in terms of trying to say, if this is really what's going on, what can I change at work? Can I change jobs? Can I change who I'm working with, who I'm working for, whatever it might be? Because sometimes if you can change one major negative element in your life, it can reduce the anger you're having, not about what you can't control at work, but it can also impact the anger that seems to spill over. Because when people are angry, and have an angry thing in their life, they tend to, it carries over in their interactions with people. And they often, an angry person does foolish and sometimes dangerous things, and certainly their impact on themselves negatively. So back on the question, if it's one thing, if you can get that under control, then sure, positive. The problem is there's some people that get mad about a lot of things. They never learn to control it, and it really impacts them. And when they finally get to the point that they realize that they just can't do this, then they're ready to and able to change. But some people spend a lifetime like being mad. I mean, being upset, finding fault with things. And that's not a happy way to lead a life. Very negative, very, very negative use and very bad use of anger, which can be good if you use it a positive way.
And you find people who try to bury it in anger, their anger in drugs and alcohol and all the sex, all kinds of stuff like that. It's an interesting study, this anger thing. I find, I don't know, I think like a lot of road rage incidents and stuff like that, I think it's not the guy that didn't put his blinker on in front of you that caused you to get mad. I think it was a lot of stuff leading up to that you didn't deal with, and that was the camel's back sort of thing, No,
listen, no question, Mike, you're right. I mean, a lot of times when anger comes out, it makes no sense because the person can get mad at a very small thing, and it could be, like you say, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. I mean, I think it's the kind of thing that people, it explodes in other areas. They can be mad about one thing, but then it builds, and then they become difficult to be with. You can just see it. Some people you can just even look at the look they have, the way they walk. You say, best we not talk to Mary or Chucky today. There are people that are like that. I mean, we do run into them, and they're out there. So you do have to really control it. It's a fascinating topic because it's something that we see all the time, and we all have it at times. It's really, but it's a good or bad emotion. It's something, if you control it, if you get the golden mean, then you're not going to be taken advantage of. You can have a far better life. But if you can't control it, and it's bad anger, then it is like the typhoon, and it can cause catastrophic problems for you in life. So it is something you have to keep an eye on, whether it's that nice spring rain or the typhoon. I mean, you have to decide that you have a choice. You have to work at that.
Dr. John Braccio. This is interesting. I think it warrants a longer study on your own part, ladies and gentlemen. It's a good thing to study the good and the bad anger. Dr. John Braccio from Regional Psychological Services every Tuesday with us, drjohnb.com on the web. Good on you, Doc. Thanks a lot.
Listen, good talking to you, buddy. Bye-bye.
See ya. Mike Austin back in a second here, 1320 WILS.